Hello everyone, my name is Kangsoo Kim. I'm a postdoc researcher at Synthetic Reality Lab in the University of Central Florida. So the title of the paper that I'm going to present is Reducing Task Load with an Embodied Intelligent Virtual Assistant for Improved Performance in Collaborative Decision Making. Before I start, I'd like to thank all the co-authors, especially Dr. Celso and Melo. This research was initiated by my internship with Celso at U.S. Army Research Lab West in 2018, and since then he and I led this project together. Also, I'd like to thank our funding agencies, Office of Naval Research, National Science Foundation, and U.S. Army. So, life is a continuous process of decision making. In our lives, we are facing a bunch of different problems, and we want to make a better decision, minimizing the potential risks. One way to do this is collaborating with other people. Through collaboration, we can collect more information and have opportunities to identify alternatives and weigh them for a better decision. If collaboration works well, everybody is happy, of course. However, collaboration itself is not an easy process. It requires a lot of cognitive load while listening to and absorbing other opinions and converging to a final decision together. These days, different technologies can replace human partners and help us to make better decisions, such as digital assistants like Amazon Alexa or other computational devices. They can provide massive information and knowledge to us so that we can make a better choice based on it. Among those technologies, today I'm going to talk about an embodied intelligent virtual assistant in augmented reality, regarding the potential opportunities in better persuasion and decision making, based on its unique capability to convey social and emotional signals using the visual embodiment and nonverbal cues. Embodied virtual humans have been actively used in different applications: military simulation, clinical therapies, receptionists, medical training, and so on and so forth. Recent advances of augmented reality headset can now put them in our real life in more intuitive and pervasive ways, as if they are physically present in the space. Given this background, we established a few research questions. Does working with intelligent virtual assistants affect objective task performance and subjective perception of task load in collaborative decision making? And how does the visual embodiment in augmented reality affect those task performance and task load? So we conducted an experiment. For the experiment, we developed an embodied virtual assistant. The assistant was based on a 3D female miniature model. Using blend shapes, she could make facial expressions, and she could speak to the participants in a natural way through pre-recorded voice and lip-sync feature. Also, she could walk around the physical space and exhibit various body gestures, as you can see in the figures here. And we prepared a desert survival task as a decision-making scenario. For those who are not familiar with this desert survival task, it's a well-known standardized collaborative task in which you have to prioritize 15 items with your collaboration partners for your survival in the desert. There is a solution which is provided by a survival expert, so we can actually evaluate the participants' decisions by comparing them with the expert solution. We developed this desert survival task in augmented reality. Participants wore Microsoft HoloLens and placed the physical items with visual markers on the table. Vuforia engine recognized the items so that the system knew the participant's current status of the task and visualized it. With this setting, we conducted a within-subject study with 36 participants. For the control condition, participants performed the task alone in augmented reality environment. For the voice condition, the voice assistant made verbal suggestions up to 10, while participants performing the task. The suggestions were always good for the participant's survival score, but they did not know that. In this way, we let the participants make the decision if they would follow the suggestions or not. This is an example suggestion about flashlight. The flashlight could be quick and reliable night signal device. Why don't you move it up a bit? For the embodied assistant condition, it's the same as the voice condition, but the assistant appeared with a visual body and walked towards the item she suggested and performed the appropriate gestures while making suggestions. Here are the procedure and measures. Once participants arrived, we calibrate the Microsoft HoloLens for them, and there was a practice session so that they could get familiar with the AR interface. And the actual experiment started with the participants performing the desert survival in one of the 3 conditions. Once they completed the task, we collected their survival task score as a performance measure by comparing the participants' decisions with the expert solution. Then we completed questionnaires, which we collected their subjective perception of the task load and the assistant's social presence and social richness. While social presence is the sense of being together with the virtual assistant, social richness is more like perception of communication media richness. For example, how social, sensitive, or personal the assistant was perceived. Then participants performed the same task 2 times more in different conditions. And we asked their demographics and prior VR or AR experience before finishing the experiment. Here are the results. For the task performance, we found the participants' survival task scores were improved in both voice and embodied assistant conditions compared to the control condition. The improvements were 19% and 17% for the voice condition and the embodied condition respectively. For the task load, participants reported the lowest task load score for the control condition, where they could just purely focus on their own voices without external interruptions. However, in the voice condition, the perceived task load was increased by 24% compared to the control condition. Interestingly, in the embodied condition, the perceived task load was significantly reduced back to the level of control condition. So we further looked into the subdimensions of the task load measure, which are 6 different categories, and we found interesting changes in 3 categories. Participants with the embodied assistant reported much lower scores for mental demand and effort categories compared to the voice assistant. The questions used for these measures were how mentally demanding was the task, and how hard did you have to work to accomplish your level of performance. We think the informative and social behaviors of the embodied virtual assistant could help the decrease of the mental load and effort. Also, we found the increase of frustration in both assistant conditions compared to the control condition. In this case, we asked how insecure, discouraged, irritated, stressed, and annoyed were you during the task, meaning that dealing with other opinions and suggestions is still challenging in both conditions. Regarding the social presence and social richness, participants reported higher scores for the embodied conditions compared to the voice condition, which means that they felt as if the assistant was physically together with them and more personal in the embodied condition. We could understand how participants perceived the embodied assistant by their qualitative feedback, which also supported our findings. They thought the embodied assistant with nonverbal cues could provide critical information and knowledge that they wouldn't have thought of for the survival task. And also, the embodied assistant was perceived as a collaborative human partner. For example, they said, two heads are always better than one, or it felt like I was communicating with another more knowledgeable person. In conclusion, we investigated the effects of an intelligent virtual assistant visual embodiment with nonverbal behaviors in collaborative decision making. And we found the embodied assistant could help to increase the task performance and maintain the lower task load while providing the increased social presence and social richness. We will continue researching on the effects of embodied assistant in different situations while improving the quality of verbal and nonverbal dynamics and comparing with other form of AR entities. Thanks a lot for your attention. And our lab has another presentation about shared gaze in augmented reality in the following session, so please join the talk as well. Thanks.